To the timing?
Yes.
Your objections noted. We're going to make up for lost time from yesterday.
So can we adjust the subject matter jurisdiction?
No, we cannot.
Talk about that. We're not going to address that either. That's still not going to be proven, right? It was frivolous stuff. That's going to get pressed every time. So. I've yet to prove subject matter jurisdiction. Any jurisdiction at all, rather.
The jury will disregard the comments being made by Mr. Brooks at this time. They are a mischaracterization of the law.
Absolutely not. They are absolutely not. They are.
All right, thank you, everyone. Please be seated. The state may call its next witness.
The state would call Lucas Hallmark.
All right, Mr. Hallmark, if you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is on my right, up one riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record, and then spell each.
Lucas Hallmark, L-U-K-A-S-H-A-L-L-M-A-R-K.
Hold on a second. It would really help if our audio's on. I'm just going to have you do that again. If you would please state your first and last names for the record. And then spell, sorry.
Lucas Hallmark, L-U-K-A-S-H-A-L-L-M-A-R-K.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Sir, how are you employed?
City of Waukesha Police Department.
What's your position?
I'm a detective
How long have you been with the City of Waukesha Police Department?
for approximately 15 years.
Has that been the entire time you've been in law enforcement?
Yes, ma'am.
Direct your attention to November 21st of 2021. Were you at the City of Waukesha Christmas Parade?
I was.
Were you there as a law enforcement officer, a spectator, or participant?
I was there as a participant.
And what group were you with?
I was with the Catholic Communities of Waukesha.
Who were you there with? I mean, other than the Catholic communities, were you with your family?
I was.
And generally, I don't need names, but was your wife present?
My wife and my 4 kids at the time, yes.
And what are the ages of your kids?
At that time, they were 3, 5, 7, and 9.
And approximately how many people were walking with the Catholic communities of Waukesha?
I believe there was about 45 or 46 individuals that were walking with us.
Okay. I'm going to show you a photograph and just ask you if you recognize it. It's Exhibit 121.
As a reminder, the monitors in the jury box have about a 20-second delay, so we need to be mindful of that as we show exhibits to them. They do come on the screen, I think, a little bit more quickly, but there was rapid succession previously, so.
And I'd ask that also be published to the jury at this time. This exhibit has previously been admitted into evidence.
Permission granted. And why doesn't the jury let me know when that exhibit comes up on the monitors in front of you? All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Whew. Sir, do you know where this picture was taken?
Yes, that was taken at Main Street and I believe East Avenue.
What day was it taken?
That was taken on November 21st, 2021.
And there are boxes with names that are associated with people through a red arrow. Do you see that?
Yes.
Overruled, he may answer.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And as you review those names and the people that those names are associated with, is that exhibit accurate?
Objection, leading the witness.
Sustain us to the form of the question.
Sir, do you know the people whose names appear on Exhibit 121?
Objection, leave the witness.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
And the arrows, do you see arrows on that exhibit?
Yes.
And they're going from a person to a name. Do you see that?
Objection, leave the witness.
Overruled. The exhibit's previously been received. You may answer.
Yes.
To clarify, Jason Peckloff, do you see him in this picture?
I do.
Can you? There's a touch screen in front of you. If you can just circle where he's at in this picture. How about Camila Perez Gonzalez? If you can circle her. Maria Alvarez Dominguez. Adair Lopez Revelar. Jose Perales Alvarez. And if we can clear the screen, and then Juan Marquez. Thank you. We can clear the screen.
Are you done with this exhibit?
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you know the names of most, if not all, of the participants who were marching with the Catholic communities of Waukesha that day?
Most of them, yes.
At some point, did you hear some type of commotion behind you?
I did.
Can you describe for the jury what you heard?
We were walking westbound on Main Street, and near the area of about 400 to 409 West Main Street, my attention was directed towards large amounts of screaming coming from behind us, so to our east. At that point, I looked over my left shoulder. At that point, there was still some folks from our group that were behind us, so it wasn't clear, but over the tops of them, I could see like a roof of a red vehicle traveling also to the east, coming towards us. I'm sorry, to the west, coming towards us.
What were your initial thoughts?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
My initial thought that came into my mind at that time when the screaming occurred was that there was probably a lost motorist and there was a vehicle traveling in the parade that shouldn't have been there.
Have you ever worked a Christmas parade in Waukesha?
I have.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
You said you have.
I don't recall specifically the Christmas parade. I worked other events in downtown Waukesha.
Have you ever worked a 4th of July parade?
Objection, relevancy to this incident.
Let me strike the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Have you ever worked a parade in the city of Waukesha?
I don't recall a specific parade, but I've worked Friday Night Live, which is an event where they usually close down the downtown area for vehicular traffic and it's pedestrians only. So that was where I was drawing my recollection to that incident.
Are there some times when there are barricades set up and a vehicle will come into the area that they're not supposed to come in?
That does occur, yes.
What would law enforcement do in that case?
Usually stop the vehicle and direct them to either stop or remove them when it's safe to do so.
Have you ever been present where the vehicle doesn't stop?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
No.
When you said that you heard screaming, can you describe for the jury what you mean? Because we're at a parade, so I'm assuming that there's some screaming.
Objection, leading the witness.
Sustains to the form of the question.
Can you describe for the jury if the screaming stood out to you?
Yes,
Objection,
it was.
leading the witness.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, it was something different than was actually occurring at the parade. And just to give you a perspective, at this point, we were actually almost done marching in the parade, which was actually a very big relief to me because I didn't want to be in the parade in the first place. So I was actually very relieved at that point. So, yes, at that point, this had caused some sort of commotion that was not particularly used to that we've already incurred through the entire parade.
And did you notice anything different about your surroundings as you heard the screaming?
Objection. I asked the form of that question and it was answered.
Overruled, he may answer.
Can you just repeat the question, please?
Sure. Do you notice anything other than the screaming that seemed unusual when that happened?
Objection, different question.
Overruled. I'm not sure what the objection is, but you may answer.
Clear with the objection.
So after my initial thought of that vehicle was just a lost motorist, or they didn't know actually what was going on, that thought faded very quickly, and I realized that something was drastically wrong based on the fact that that vehicle was traveling at a significant rate of speed towards our direction.
When you first saw the vehicle or the top of the red vehicle, approximately how far was it away from you?
When I first looked back and saw it, I would estimate it to be about, I would say approximately 200 feet. My recollection is that it was near Curry Insurance.
You testified already as to where your position was at that time, correct?
Yes.
Where were you in relationship to the group that you were walking with? Where were you within that group?
Sure. So our group, we were just kind of walking together behind a white banner. There was no set, method of us walking. We actually, as we were continued down the parade route, some of us moved forward, some of us moved back, depending on how the kids were doing. But at that particular time, I was near towards the back, so I would say the middle of the back of the group, and more towards the center of the road.
And which shoulder did you look back over when you heard the screaming?
I turned to my left.
And that's when the vehicle was approximately 200 feet away?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
What did you see next?
The vehicle came. I recall the vehicle coming right at to where we were walking. It started hitting folks in our group, and the only thing that I could remember doing was I had my 3-year-old in my left hand, and I had my 9-year-old in my right hand. As we were walking down the parade route, my 7-year-old was kind of walking in front of us at the time, and I remember realizing that we were going to get hit, and it was going to come very quickly. And so I grabbed my 3-year-old as hard as I could, and I threw him towards the curb. At the same time, I tried to grab Benjamin at that point and throw him with my 3-year-old.
Oh, Benjamin, is he the 7-year-old?
Yes.
And he was in front of you, you testified?
Objection,
Correct.
leading the witness.
This is
Overruled. The answer may stand.
To the best of my memory, yes.
Yes, okay. And you stated that you had your 9-year-old in your on your right side. What's the name of your 9-year-old?
Elliot.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. I'm sorry, what was the name?
Elliot. Elliot
you.
Homework.
When you saw the vehicle and as it was coming towards you, could you estimate the speed that the vehicle was traveling?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
I estimated the vehicle traveling about 30 to 40 miles an hour,
What is the speed limit in that area of Main Street?
25 miles per hour.
So you threw your 3-year-old to your left, you stated?
Towards the curb, which would have been to the south.
And how about Elliot?
I don't remember at that point what happened with Elliot. As the vehicle passed us, I don't know if he got ripped out of my arms when the vehicle came through. I just remember that I kind of got, as I turned to my left, I pivoted on my left foot. I got clipped to my left foot, and the vehicle passed us, but I don't recall what happened with Elliot.
How about Ben?
Ben, I saw him stumble and kind of roll from where the vehicle came towards the curb to the south.
Now, when you said you got clipped, what clipped you?
Objection.
Overruled.
It had to have been the vehicle. I had an abrasion on my left heel, and then I had white sneakers on that night, and they had black marks along where I had my abrasion on that same part.
What was that consistent with, those black marks?
I would guess the vehicle tire.
Where was your wife?
She was standing a little bit behind and then to the left of us, so she would have been a little further at that point, a little bit further to the east and then to the south.
Now, in terms of the path that the vehicle was traveling prior to it striking your group, can you describe that for the jury in terms of was it on the north side of the road or the south side? Or to explain it to someone like me, if you're traveling down the parade route, was it on your left or on your right?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
As it was coming towards us, as I was walking initially, we were kind of in the center of the road. So when I saw the vehicle coming, I kind of moved to the left and threw my kids to the left. So we were kind of left of the center line, so to the left, as you described, and towards the south. But the vehicle had passed me on my right.
And did you say that you observed anyone get hit that was behind you?
I don't
Leading the witness.
Overruled.
I don't recall seeing anyone specifically getting hit. I do remember hearing sounds of the vehicle striking objects, and the only objects in the road were people at the time.
What happened next, or what do you remember next?
I remember turning to my wife and asking her if all the children were okay, and she looked back at me and said that she didn't know where our son Elliot was. And at that point, I couldn't see him either, so I began running up and down Main Street trying to locate where he was.
Did you have eyes on your 3 other children?
I did.
And what did you do with those 3 kids?
I had those children stay with my wife while I went and tried to find Elliot.
Did you find Elliot?
It was some time after, I would estimate it to be a minute to 2 minutes after the vehicle had passed, but I had located him on the road further to the south, almost immediately towards the curb was, being tended to by some individuals that had covered him up with a blanket.
While you were looking for Elliot, did you see anyone else on the ground?
I did.
Can you describe for the jury what you observed?
There was a lot of individuals laying on the road as you look back, and I remember specifically seeing Father Pat Heppy laying on the ground. I remember he was, at that point when I had saw him, I thought he was deceased because he wasn't moving at all, so I would assume that he was knocked unconscious. I continued past, and then I remember specifically seeing a younger female who I recall to be as Yamilet Perales laying in the roadway. And 2, I thought she was also deceased because there was blood coming from like her ears, and she wasn't moving either.
Did you see anyone else before you found your son Elliot?
There was other people, but I don't specifically recalling at that particular time, no.
Once you found Elliot, what observations did you make of him?
At this point, he was awake. The person that was tending to him indicated that he was knocked unconscious. So when I had found him, he actually regained consciousness, but he was crying and complaining of injuries to his back and to his hip and to his leg.
What did you do then?
Pretty much just, I was told by the individuals that were caring for him that that we needed to keep him there for safety purposes, for like C-spine, making sure they didn't have any significant neck injuries or back injuries, and that we needed to wait there until paramedics arrived.
Did they eventually come and assess Elliot?
Yes. During this time, I had spoken with my wife, and the decision was made that she was going to go get the car because it was, at this point, it was chaos in downtown Waukesha, and I'd actually made contact with a couple of different officers that I knew from the police department, and one of the comments was we didn't know how we were going to get a lot of these injured folks from the street to the hospital that needed care. So a decision was made that I was going to send my wife to go get the vehicle so she can remove our 3 kids that were mobile and remove them from the scene. At that time, I didn't know the extent of the injuries to Benjamin.
And that's what I was just going to ask you about. Were there any observable injuries to Benjamin at the time immediately following the car going through the group?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled. You may answer.
I knew that he had been injured because when I had looked over to where he was over on the curb, I had seen that he had some facial injuries, swollen eyes, some lacerations. But he was calm and he was collected. So at that point, I didn't know that there was any other injuries to him. After the paramedics had put Elliot on a removable stretcher, I indicated that Benjamin was hurt and I needed to go bring him with us when we went to the hospital. After I went over to him to pick him up, I had looked down and I had realized that he had an open fracture to his left leg.
So what did you do?
I picked him up and then we ran with the paramedics down to they called it the casualty collection point, or the point where all the ambulances were caring for individual folks.
And did you ride in the ambulance with Elliot and Ben, or did they go separately?
We went together.
Okay. Where did you go?
We went to Waukesha Memorial Hospital.
And what happened once you were at Waukesha Memorial Hospital? What did you see in general?
Yeah, I mean, I was working in the city. We go to Waukesha Memorial Hospital quite a bit, and I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. It was pretty much chaos. When we first got to the hospital, there was some sort of physician or EMT that was actually triaging individuals with, I believe it was permanent marker, and they were triaging individuals on their forehead of what level of injury they needed. And based on that, this kind of directed word they had gone inside the hospital. So when we had gone into the hospital, we were directed into the waiting room. And at that point, we were still on kind of like stretchers or backboards. We were placed in the waiting room, and we were just waiting until we could be attended to by some of the staff.
And did both Benjamin and Elliot receive treatment at Waukesha Memorial Hospital?
Yes.
What treatment did they receive, if you know?
Elliot received treatment for a severe concussion. He had a severe ankle sprain. They did a CT scan. And then with Benjamin, he ended up spending the night because the same thing, concussion. They did a CT scan, but then he also had surgery on his broken leg that night.
Now, you stated initially when the car was coming towards the back of your group, you thought it may have been someone that just accidentally got on the Christmas parade route, correct?
Objection, that was not the form of the question, or answer rather.
Asked and answered. Sustained.
So after having your initial thought, did your thought change at some point that this isn't a misguided vehicle?
Yes.
And what did it change to?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled. You may answer.
After the vehicle had come through and struck our group, and then as I looked back at all the carnage behind us, it was pretty. My thought then that we were involved in some sort of terrorist act. It was overwhelming fear, overwhelming panic amongst everyone in the downtown Waukesha.
After the vehicle went through your group, did you ever observe it stop?
I did not.
I'm going to show you on the screen in front of you Exhibit 140. I'm going to have it displayed in front of you and let me know when it's on your screen.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to play approximately 5 seconds. It's a 1 minute and 26-second clip. I'm going to play the first 5 seconds and see if you recognize this video.
Yes.
We can stop it and go back to 00. Does it accurately reflect what you observed on November 21st, 2021?
Yes.
Objection to the relevancy. Who took the video?
Overruled.
Does this video contain footage of the Waukesha Catholic community in the parade on that date?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I would move State's Exhibit 140 into evidence and ask that it be published to the jury with sound.
Objection. Still hearsay.
The objection's noted. It's overruled. Exhibit 140 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
And I'd ask that it start playing now.
Maybe, we'll see. I mean, it's actually at the Elks Club Lodge. It's like, see, it's really cool.
Or maybe. I went with like a friend. It was a nice place. Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really
Is it on Thanksgiving?
Saturday, November 20th, 2021.
That passed.
What?
That passed. Oh, yeah. It's the 20th today.
Oh,
Right?
that was.
Oh, no, it's the 21st.
Ooh, so it already did already.
It happened yesterday.
Yep, it happened already. Ah, whatever. I don't know. That's okay, whatever.
Everybody can Oh, those outfits are so cute! Young lady, where is your winter jacket?
Did you see a red SUV traveling westbound in that video?
Yes.
Would that be consistent with what you saw coming from behind you on November 21st prior to what you just described?
Objection. How do we know the direction? How do we know it's westbound?
Your objection's noted. It's overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm going to show you some still shots from that video and just ask if they accurately reflect what you observed.
Objection to the relevancy.
I have to see them. Are you going to do that electronically or hand them to the bailiff?
I'd like to do it electronically if I can.
Go ahead.
Show Exhibit 135. Just to the witness. Sir, do you identify that as a still shot taken from the Exhibit 140?
I recognize the photo you're seeing is from the video.
Yes.
Yes.
And there are, do you see arrows? What does this photo reflect to you? Sorry.
Objection. Leading the witness.
Overruled.
This photo represents individuals from our group in the parade walking in front of, I believe, Magellan's, I think.
And are there names on this diagram?
Yes.
And do they appear to be associated with people within this group?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
How is that depicted?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Overruled.
The names are depicted by red arrows pointing to the individuals.
And do they accurately reflect the names of the individuals that they're pointing, that the arrows are connected to?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask that Exhibit 135 be admitted and published to the jury.
Objection to the relevancy.
Overruled. Exhibit 135 is received. Permission to publish is granted. Keep in mind it takes a little bit for the jury to see it, at least on the monitors in the jury box.
It appears that the jury now can see it in front of them. So with regard to this one, if you can just circle Jose Perales Alvarez.
Objection of being the witness.
Overruled.
Juan Marquez, if you see him. Marisol Lopez Gutierrez. Gregorio Romelia Perez. And Maria Perez.
Well, when I circled Gregoria, I believe I kind of got rid of Maria there. But Maria's,
helpful?
Yeah, Maria's right next to Gregoria.
Okay, thank you. This can be taken off. Next, I'm going to do the exact same thing with a couple more pictures. The next one would be Exhibit 136. I'll have it shown in front of you. Let me know when it's on your screen.
I see it.
Okay. If you can describe for the jury what you're seeing in Exhibit 136.
Something very similar to the last exhibit.
I'm sorry. Is there an objection?
Leading the witness.
That's not leading. It's overruled. You may answer.
This photograph appears to be a still photo from a video, similar to the last, with names with arrows corresponding to those individuals.
And do the arrows corresponding to the individuals and the names, are they accurate?
In my screen, there's like a...
Yeah, there's a box that appears to be from
There
the
you go.
user. There you go. It needs to be removed.
Yes, it's accurate.
Okay. And do you see yourself in this photograph?
I do.
Okay. I would ask that this 136 be admitted and published to the jury.
Exhibit 136 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Objection. Why? Where's his name if he's in the video?
That's not an objection. That's a question. You can certainly ask that during cross-examination, but it's just I'm sustaining it. Go ahead, ask your next question.
I guess I'm waiting for it to be published.
I will do that.
Okay. And then a confirmation from the jury that they can see it. Sir, first of all, do you see yourself in this photograph?
Yes.
Can you circle where you're at?
Objection. Why there's no name on it? What's the
Overruled.
relevancy of it?
Overruled. You may answer the question.
That's right.
Thank you. And again, the names you've testified are associated with the appropriate people, is that correct?
Yes.
Can you circle Lori Loken? Maria Alvarez Dominguez. Ashley Perales Alvarez. Margaret Pachulis. Eileen Perales Alvarez. Yamilet Perales Alvarez. And I think you can possibly see her legs.
Yeah, she's wearing gray pants. I'm sorry, green kind of leggings, but you can't necessarily see her face in this photo. So, but her green pants are right there.
Okay. Camila Perez Gonzalez. And Benjamin Hallmark. Thank you. We can clear the screen. Next, I'll go to 137. And again, when we're looking at these photos, these are all from the same video. Are they from the same video?
It appears so.
Okay. And approximately what location are these taken in relationship to where your group was physically impacted by the car?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
This was probably about a block prior to us being struck. I think this is right around the 300 block of West Main Street, kind of by Donnie Boy's, Magellan's, Curry Insurance area.
And would this be consistent with what you believe generally the formation would have been when your group was impacted?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you 137.
I see it.
and asked you the same questions. Does this appear to be a still shot from the video that you saw in Exhibit 140?
Yes.
And what does it depict?
Depicts Jason Petchloff, William Mitchell, and Father Pat Heppe walking in the parade route, holding a banner.
And are there names on that?
Yes.
Are they associated with the people you've just identified
Yes.
correctly?
Correct.
I'd ask that Exhibit 137 be admitted into evidence and published.
Objection. Where's the relevancy?
Overruled. Exhibit 137 has received permission to publish as granted.
Thank you. And again, if you can circle Jason Peckloff, William Mitchell, Father Heppe. Thank you.
Is that to come up for the jurors?
Oh, sorry.
We'll wait.
I apologize.
That's Angela Clears. He'll have to redo that. It was cleared before the jury got it, so go ahead and redraw your circles.
Okay. Can you identify Jason Peckloff, William Mitchell, and Father Heppe? Thank you. You can clear the screen. And finally, 128. I believe 128 may have already been admitted into evidence. I'd ask that be published to the jury.
Did they?
And do you see the name David Marquez on the screen?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
Yes.
And do you see David Marquez in the picture?
Yes.
Can you circle him? Thank you. You can clear that exhibit. I would
Hold
not.
on.
Oh,
Jury does not have it yet.
Well, at least someone's.
I'm trying.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. It now is in the view of the jury. I'd ask that it be cleared.
All right, thank you.
Finally, Exhibit 15, which has previously been admitted into evidence. I'd ask that it be published to the jury.
Did they?
And I would ask that they give me a signal when it's on the screen. Sir, have you seen this map before?
Yes.
And what is this a map of?
This is a map of the parade route, and it also appears to indicate where certain groups on the parade route that were impacted during this incident.
And is there any type of delineation as to exactly where the parade route, where it started and where it went to?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
I don't see any clear delineation in regards to an arrow, but the parade started up towards Maine and White Rock and ends towards Maine and Wisconsin.
Do you see a purple line on that exhibit?
Yes.
What does that reflect?
Objection, leading the
Overruled.
witness.
The parade route.
Hold on, sorry, what was your
Leading the
objection?
witness.
Leading, did you say? Overruled. You may answer.
It indicates the parade route.
Sir, direct your attention to the area where the Catholic communities of Waukesha, where there's a list of names. Do you see that?
Yes.
And are all those people that are listed in that box, were they in the roadway at the time that the red SUV went through your group?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And again, it's there's a line with that box that's associated with this a yellow star. What's the significance of that, if you know?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
That would be the general area where we were when we were struck.
Thank you. You can clear the screen, sorry. Now I'm going to go to Exhibit 160. And I'm just going to ask if this, the clip is 50 seconds long. I'm going to show you approximately 20 seconds of the clip and see if you recognize it. Do you recognize that clip? We can stop the clip, I'm sorry. We stopped it at 12 seconds. Do you recognize that clip?
Yes.
Does that accurately depict what occurred near your group, the Catholic community, on November 21st of last year?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd ask that Exhibit 160 is admitted and published for the jury.
Objection.
Exhibit 160 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Okay. No one's giving me a thumbs up. I just want to make sure I'm not missing something. Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. If we can play this clip from 0 to 50 seconds, which is the length of the clip. The 4 people that you saw sliding through the screen from left to right, did you recognize those people?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 126, which is a still shot from that video. If you can, it'll pop up on your screen. If you can tell me if it accurately represents that video, that still shot from a video. That video.
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
And I said it be admitted into evidence and published to the jury.
Exhibit 126 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Sir, do you, can you identify each of the people that are shown in this still shot by saying their name and circling their position?
Yeah.
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
This is, I'm going to do it by circling.
Yes.
Okay. So this is Jason Petchloff on his back in the roadway towards the south side of the road. This is Marisol Lopez, kind of in the middle of the roadway. This is Jose Perales, just in front of Jason, a little further to the west, but on the south side of the roadway. And then Gregoria Perez, kind of further to the west in the roadway, and then in the middle.
Thank you. One last video. Sorry, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 154. I'm going to play the first 5 seconds for you and ask you if it depicts what you observed on November 21st of last year.
Objection, what's the relevancy?
Overruled. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a video taken, it appears to be from an individual walking, but this is like the aftermath of right after the vehicle had come through our group.
Have you seen this video clip before?
I have.
Are you able to identify many of the people in this video clip?
Objection, hearsay. There's a
Overruled.
lot of people in here.
It's not hearsay.
I'd ask that,
Go ahead.
be admitted into evidence and published to the jury.
Exhibit 154 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Sir, I'm going to take you through this video, and I'm going to pause it at certain places and ask you if you recognize anyone that's in the picture and describe their position. If we can start the video. If we can pause it. Oh, if you can go back 2 seconds. There we go. It stopped at 11 seconds. Do you recognize that person on the ground?
Yeah, right here, that's Margaret Petrulius.
If we can continue on from 11 seconds. And stop. Do you recognize the person depicted at 13 seconds?
Objection, hearsay.
If we can clear the
Overruled.
screen, I'm sorry.
You may answer.
My last screenshot is up there from the last time. I don't know if you want that clear.
Clear that. Thank you.
Laying on the ground right here in the blue, that's Lori Locken.
Okay. And if you can continue on from 13 seconds. You can pause it. Did you see anyone else? I'm sorry.
Just prior to that, I could see where my wife and the other kids were with Benjamin on the curb, kind of behind Lori.
If we go back 2 seconds, do you think that would do it?
Yeah. So, yep, right there.
And if you can circle them.
So this is my daughter right here, and then right behind her in underneath that blanket, that's where Benjamin is. He's being attended to by some of the individuals there.
Okay. If you can just say stop if you see Elliot as this goes on from 14 seconds.
Stop.
Where's Elliot?
So he's being attended to. He's right with this group of people right there.
And you recognize that to be the position you went to when you found him?
Objection, hearsay. We can't see who that is.
It's not hearsay. Overruled.
Yes.
And that was at 20 seconds. We can clear that. And continue on. Sorry. If we can pause. Do you recognize anyone in this section of the video?
Yeah. So with the blue sneakers, he's lying this way. That'd be Father Pat Heppy. Laying down right here is Maria Perez. And then being attended to by these folks in front of the banner, that'd be William Mitchell.
If we can continue on. And if you see someone from your group on the ground, if you can say pause.
Okay.
And we're continuing on from 26 seconds. If we can pause here. Do you recognize that person?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yeah, there's two people. Marisol Lopez is right there, and then Adir Lopez is right here with the gray jacket.
And what's their relationship to one another?
Mother and child.
If we can continue on from 41 seconds. I'm sorry, is that still Marisol?
Objection.
We can pause here.
Pause. Who is that, if you know?
So this is still
Said
Marisol.
objection.
Overruled.
So this last yellow line I just drew, that's still Marisol. right here where I circled as being covered by a red blanket. That would be Gregoria, Perez. And then over here, that would be Jason Pechloff.
Stop the video at 58 seconds. Sir, I'm going to direct you to Exhibit 162. We're almost done. 2 more exhibits.
I know the video continued. I just didn't know if you wanted, because I apologize.
That's fine. Let me go back,
Okay.
sir. Let me redirect your attention to Exhibit 154, where we were, which was 58 seconds. If we can publish that for the jury, since it has been admitted into evidence. And again, if you could...
Objection, are we going to another exhibit? She just said 162.
We're back at 154, as she indicated.
Is that okay? Do you see anyone else, or should I continue playing?
I think you should continue playing.
Let's continue.
Pause. So at 136, this would be Jose Perales.
Thank you, and that was at 136. Okay. Thank you. Did you viewed this video before?
Yes.
And do you know, are there any other victims depicted from Catholic communities?
Yes.
Okay, then let's keep playing it from 136.
136.
Pause.
And we paused at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Who do you identify in this clip?
This would be Yamilet Perales.
And let's continue. From 136, 230, I mean. Can we pause?
Yep. So this would be me right here, and then Elliot's lying down on the blanket.
And that's at 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're good. Now let's continue to Exhibit 162. Is it in front of you?
Yes.
Do you recognize the person depicted in... Actually, do you recognize this person?
Yes, that's Eileen Perales.
Okay. And is that how she appeared on November 21st of last year?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
And is this a picture taken from a video from the parade?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
I'd ask that the court admit Exhibit 162 into evidence and publish it to the jury.
Objection, hearsay, and relevancy.
The objections are overruled. Exhibit 152 has received permission to publish as granted.
162.
I'm sorry, 162. No, publish it.
If we can clear my green. Thank you. If you can just let me know when you see it. Okay. You stated that you could see Eileen Perales in this video, or this clip?
Yes.
And can you point her out specifically, her and the hat that she's wearing on her head?
Yeah. I think Perales is wearing kind of like a black coat, some sort of pink leggings, and then she's wearing some sort of like maroon colored hat with white on it, like white stripes.
Okay. If we can save this screen capture, and this would be 162A.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
If I can then,
So 162A has been captured.
and we can clear it then.
You can clear that, Teresa.
And then I'd ask to publish Exhibit 92, which has previously been admitted into evidence. So do you see the hat that's in, oh, hold on. Sir, in terms of the appearance of that hat, I'm not going to ask you if it's the exact same hat that was on Eileen's head in Exhibit 162, but is that the same type of hat in terms of has the same wording on it, same color, same palm color as the hat that Eileen was wearing in Exhibit 162?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
It looks remarkably close, same color, same patterns of the lines, the writing, and then with the top on it. Yes.
Thank you. I have nothing else.
All right, you're crossed, sir.
So you saw all those videos that were shown, all exhibits rather, all 12, 13 of them. You saw all those before today?
I don't recall there was 12 videos. To the best of my knowledge,
126, 15, 137, 136, 135, 140, 178, 160, 154, 162, 92, at least 11 or 12.
Mr. Brooks, I'm going to strike your comment because you cannot testify. You did not let him answer. Let him answer first, and then you can ask follow-up. The jury will disregard the statement made by Mr. Brooks. Go ahead.
I believe there was only 3 or 4 videos, but there was numerous screenshots or photos taken from those videos.
That's why I said exhibits. Have you seen all exhibits before today?
I had seen those exhibits, yes.
And do you know who took any of those exhibits, the videos or still shots?
No, sir.
So how were you able to see them?
Can you rephrase the question, please?
How were you able to see them if you don't know who took them?
I saw him on the screen. I'm not sure I'm following your question.
Before today, you said you saw them before today. That's what you just said. So I'm asking, I asked after that, do you know who took them? You said no. So how could you I guess I'm asking, how would you know if you don't know who took these videos? How were you able to see them before today?
I believe they were collected by the police department as evidence.
And that's how you saw them?
That's how we were able to view them afterwards, yes.
Do you know when you viewed them?
I don't recall.
Did you view all 12 of them in their entirety at the same time, or were they at different dates?
Yeah, back to the form of the question.
Grounds.
Did you view them all in their entirety? Again, it makes it seem like he's referring to videos, and if he is, that's fine. If he could just clarify videos or exhibits.
Sustained as to the form of the question, please rephrase.
Exhibits.
Can you just repeat the question, please?
At what time did you see all the exhibits in their entirety? Was it the same day or was it different days?
I don't recall specifically. I just reviewed the exhibits, the photos, not the videos, but the photos, as you're explaining in these exhibits, prior, just in preparation of my testimony.
In preparation of your testimony, what do you mean by in preparation of?
Preparing my testimony for court, making sure that everything maybe kind of recall my memory, anything to that nature, making sure that everything is accurate in what I'm going to testify to.
If everything you're going to testify to is truthful, why would you need to prepare for it?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Why would you need testimony preparation?
This is a pretty significant incident. I wanted to make sure that I was prepared fully for being here and testifying.
Wouldn't it be easy to just come in and recount what you saw?
Objection. Argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained. Please rephrase.
Is it fair to say that it would be fairly easy to state what you saw that evening?
Yes.
So why exactly did you feel the need that you had to prep yourself?
Objection. Argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained, also asked and answered.
I'm going to direct your attention to Exhibit 154, which is a video. So that's clear for the record, not a still frame. It's a video.
You want to put up for him?
I want it put up for him.
All right, it's been received before. Put it up, please.
Can we go to 41 seconds?
Sure. Thank you to the state for assisting. 41 seconds, you said?
41 seconds. Is it fair to say
Hold on,
that...
do you want to wait until the jury has it in front of
Yeah,
them?
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay, there's a delay. Sometimes it's long, sometimes it's short. Seems to be long right now. All right, we're good. Go ahead.
So in this exhibit, which is a video that's paused at 41 seconds, we can see two people laying on the ground. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Can you see any of the two people's faces right now as it's paused?
No.
So it would be fair to say that you can't positively say who that is from this part of the video that's paused right now.
Well, based on my experience, based on clothing descriptions, obviously Idira and Marisol are mother and child, and body structures, that's how I'm able to identify who they are.
What do you mean by body structure?
Well, Idira is a little bit smaller, and Marisol's a little bit larger, and that's how I have memory of who she is.
Would you agree that they're kind of like bunched up, like kind of balled up?
I would agree that Idira is, yes.
Can you see faces?
No, sir.
So it would be fair to say that you don't know for sure who that is.
I'm pretty confident that's Marisol and Idira.
Pretty confident?
I'm very confident.
So why not be very confident the first time that question was asked? Grounds. Grounds.
Sustained.
Let's go to 58 seconds and pause. Right here in front of us, we see 3 people kneel down. We see someone with a pinkish blanket covering them, and we see a lady with a black coat with a white kind of like top to it. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the face of the person laying on the ground under the pink blanket?
No, sir.
Would it be fair to say that you don't know for sure who that is?
As I described before, I'm very confident that that's Marisol that's laying on the ground.
And how can you tell that from the picture that we're looking at now?
Well, not specifically just from this picture, but like I stated before, as the video was moving, we could see clothing descriptions, body structure, who she's laying next to.
Is it fair to say that the exhibit is not moving right now? It's paused.
Yes, sir.
And it's paused with not being able to see who's under the pink blanket. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
So how can you say for sure who that is?
If I was to just view this video or this photo without any other context, you're probably correct. I probably wouldn't be able to identify any particular person, but because of the video and how it moved and how I was able to see people, I was able to confirm that that'd be Marisol.
And you came to that conclusion because you've seen these videos before today, or these exhibits rather before today. Would that be fair to say?
No, I come to the conclusion with my memory of being there at that night.
But you did state, just so we have clarity, that you in fact saw these exhibits before today. Would that be fair to say?
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds.
It has been asked and answered, but I'll let the witness answer that question again.
Yes, sir.
Towards I don't know what that direction would be. I'm guessing that would, if you're looking at it the way I'm looking at it, it'd be towards the right.
Right this way?
We're coming back a little bit more. Right where the lady with the white coat is, you see a few people, it looks like 3, kneeled over someone that is under a blanket with, it looks red with like snowflakes or something on it. You can see like a black, I don't know if that's like a shoe or, I'm guessing that's a shoe or a boot or something to that effect. Is that fair to say that you can see that?
Yes.
Can you tell who that is just looking at it right now?
I know that that's Gregoria, yes.
Can you tell who it is looking at it right now? Can you see their face? Can you identify them right now?
I cannot see their face.
So it'd be fair to say that you're not sure who that is.
I am sure who that is.
And you come to that conclusion based on what we're looking at right now at this moment.
Objection.
Grounds.
Characterizes this witness's testimony.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Let's go to 136. Same exhibit and pause. Is it fair to say we can see someone with laying on the ground? They have like a bluish jacket. You can only see one arm, so the sleeve. The jacket is blue. It looks like they have like a red, something red next to, which is obviously a lady in a gray jacket, white hat. A guy in a red, looks like a hoodie, and someone else to their right, I would say, and a jacket and a cap with looks like a baseball cap. Would it be fair to say that you can see that?
Yes.
And the person that's laying on the ground, can you see their face?
No, sir.
So would it be fair to say that you don't know for sure who that is?
I'm sure I know who that is.
Based on what we're looking at now, you can tell who that is.
Based on my recollection of the incident that night, I know who that is.
Based on what we're looking at right now on the screen, can you tell who that is? You
Yes,
can
sir.
see their face.
I know who that is. I cannot see their face.
So it'd be fair to say from this picture, you're not sure who that is.
Objection. This characterizes this
Grounds.
witness's testimony.
Sustained.
To the right of the screen, right here. Can't tell how many people is kneeled down right there, but it's obvious that they're attending to somebody. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Can you see who that is that they're attending to in any way?
Not from this vantage point, no.
So it would be fair to say that you don't know who that is that they're attending to, correct?
I know who they're attending to.
And you can tell that by what we're looking at right now?
Objection.
Grounds.
Characterizes the testimony.
Grounds.
Witness testified as this video was going through who he believed each person was.
Who he believed. But we're looking right now.
Mr. Brooks, let me rule on the objection.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Thank you. Overruled. He may answer.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Can you tell from what we're looking at right now? Can you tell who that is that they're attending to?
You cannot see that is Jason Peshoff behind them, but that is who is laying on the ground right there.
And you can tell that by what we're looking at right now. You can see who that is.
No, based on my recollection of the incident, is why I know who that is.
I'm saying referring to what we're looking at, not your recollection, what we're currently looking at right now. Can you tell who that is that's being attended to from based on what we're looking at right at this moment?
You cannot see who the individual is.
Can we go to 2 minutes and 30 seconds and pause? Can we erase that circling arrow?
It's been done.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right in front of us, we can see is a group of people standing over someone who appears to be laying on the ground. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
It looks like they have a Scooby-Doo blanket over them. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
By what we're looking at right now at this moment, can you tell who's under the Scooby-Doo blanket?
I know who that is.
Can you tell by what we're looking at this moment? At this moment right now, can you tell who's under the Scooby-Doo blanket?
No, sir.
Can we go to 241 and pause? Would it be fair to say that right now we're looking at what appears to be could be a police officer, some kind of law enforcement, could be security guard or anything, but some type of law enforcement. We see someone, it looks like a woman who you can't see the top of her head, but you can see like her chin and her bottom lip, has a black jacket. And right in between those, the law enforcement and the woman, you can see that someone's laying on the ground, and you see 3 people attending to them. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell by what we're looking at right now? Can you say exactly who that is?
100% confident because I'm in that photo.
And is that you standing over the front of them?
I'm standing over my son.
Or not standing, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Kneeling in over the top of who's on the ground.
Yes, my son is crying because he just got struck by a vehicle and I'm trying to console him.
That wasn't the question. That's you kneeling over with the hat, and it looks like a grayish. I don't know if that would be a hoodie, but looks like it's some like bluish black to the sleeve. Would that be you?
I'm wearing a gray sweatshirt. My son is wearing the blue jacket.
I could be mixed up. I apologize for that. So it would be safe to say, by what you just said, you were 100%. You were adamant, 100% that you knew who that was. Mm-hmm. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
But you didn't have that same enthusiasm for everybody else that we were just looking at. Would that be fair to say?
Objection. This characterizes this witness's testimony.
Grounds.
Sustained. It's also argumentative.
And out of all the exhibits.
Are we done with this exhibit?
Oh yeah, we're done. I'm sorry.
All right. Just take it down, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Go ahead.
Out of all the exhibits that you were shown during the initial questioning, you're not sure who took any of those videos?
No, sir.
There was quite a few exhibits that were shown. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And do you recall exactly the estimate of how far the vehicle was from you when you first saw it?
When I first saw it, that's when the initial scream started. I think it was about 200 feet behind me.
And how did you come to that estimation of distance?
When I first saw it, I believed it. My recollection that it was kind of near Curry Insurance, so I would take that as almost like a half city block. So it was on the other side of Maple Avenue. So I just estimated that based on my experience with feet.
So you felt that estimate was accurate?
I don't know.
Or did you know for sure?
No, I don't know for sure.
You stated that your 9-year-old was in your right hand and your 3-year-old was in your left hand. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
stated at some point that your 9-year-old was ripped, or you didn't know if your 9-year-old was ripped out of your hand. Can you explain what do you mean by ripped?
At the point where I lost contact with him is about the point where the vehicle had come through, so I didn't know if it was the force of the vehicle taking him away from me that forced our hands to be separated, or if we had just separated hands prior to that. But based on my recollection, it was simultaneously as the vehicle had passed through us.
And was that 9-year-old injured?
Yeah, Elliot was thrown in the air and he was knocked unconscious.
And what happened with your 3-year-old that was in your left hand?
I threw him with my left hand towards the curb. He did not get struck.
When you say threw him, what do you mean by that? Was
I was holding on to it. I'm sorry.
A quick toss, or was it like a harsh push, or define thrown?
I picked him. I was holding on to him with my left hand. I grabbed him off the air and threw him as far as I possibly could because I knew that he was going to get hit by a car.
Do you recall if he was hurt in the throat?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Overruled. He may answer.
I didn't actually see him that night because I stayed with my other son at the hospital. But as far as my recollection, I don't think he was injured from that, no.
Other than that, was he injured in any way?
No.
You made a reference to the speed. How did you come to that estimation of speed? Do you have any expertise in speed analysis in any way?
No, just my experiences driving as a motorist and being in law enforcement for 15 years, estimating vehicle speeds.
So it'd be fair to say you don't know for sure.
That's correct.
And I assume that you were interviewed by other officers at some point. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall if it was that night or if it was in the following days?
Well, the night of the incident, I informed my department that I had been involved in the incident. So I reported it that night verbally, but a statement was later given to the department in a more formal manner.
And you already stated that your 9-year-old son did get struck. Did you actually see that?
I did not see him get thrown in the air, no.
Even though you had him in your right arm, or right hand, rather?
Correct.
Did you see where the vehicle went after it passed you?
I did not.
Did you see anyone else get struck once it passed you?
I did not.
In a summary of your report, do you recall stating to the officer that you were interviewed by that you saw a second unconscious person laying on the ground that you further described as a Hispanic female?
Yes, sir.
Would it be fair to say that in your testimony here today you gave names? That'd be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Why not in the summary of your report did you give names and just say a Hispanic female?
I'm just going to object to the form of the question. He's indicating that it's Detective Hallmark's summary in this report. It's not been established. Okay.
It's in the form of the question.
I was referring to him already testifying that he had knowledge of everybody that was in his group.
Rephrase your question, please.
At the time of your summary, did you know the identity of the Hispanic female that you referenced?
An objection to the form of the question. It's not his summary per se.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
So should I say in the summary that you gave? Do you recall that comment?
Objection mischaracterizes the summary.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question, please rephrase.
In the summary that was given by the officer that you gave the report to, do you recall that
Yes.
statement?
I'm sorry.
I am going to object. The witness has answered the question. Again, I would just indicate for the record that I believe what Mr. Brooks is looking at is a different officer's report that summarizes the statement that that officer received from Detective Hallmark. With that understanding that that's what it is, I would ask Mr. Brooks to maybe ask his next question with keeping that in mind.
Objection to being called that. I don't identify by that name nor consent to being called that name. And I
Next
made
question,
reference-
sir.
I made reference that it was
Next
by
question.
another officer.
Next question, please.
You made reference to your son being attended to by two men. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
At the time of the incident, did you know who those two men were?
No, sir.
And when did you learn of the identity of those two men?
It was a couple days after the incident. I learned the identity of one individual that was attending to my son.
Do you know if they, or do you recall them giving you any additional information that you didn't have that night?
Yes.
Do you recall if they were active participants in the parade or just spectators? Did they give you that information at any time?
This individual was a spectator.
To your recollection, did the spectator tell you where they were positioned at when they attended to your son?
Yes.
And who is Charles?
That would be my 3-year-old.
And Benjamin?
That would be my 7-year-old.
Do you recall what happened with Benjamin when you saw the vehicle approaching?
Yeah, he was run over by the vehicle on his left leg.
Do you at any time recall making a statement in the summary that was given by another officer? Do you recall making the statement, you threw Charles and Benjamin as hard as you could towards the south curb?
Yes, sir.
If you already stated that you threw your 3-year-old, which you just said was Charles, and you also just acknowledged that you threw Benjamin.
Objection as to the characterization. He acknowledged that the summary that Mr. Brooks is reading said that he threw Benjamin.
He answered the question.
He did not. I believe there's an objection. I'll sustain it as to the form of the question. Please rephrase. It also mischaracterizes the, well, I'll just leave it at that. You may ask your question.
So did you throw Benjamin as hard as you could to the south curb, or did you see Benjamin struck by the vehicle?
So when the vehicle was coming and I threw Charlie, I knew that Ben was in front of us, so it was the same motion with my left arm to get Benjamin and Charlie out of the way. Obviously, I didn't get Benjamin completely out of the way of the vehicle.
Any idea why that was not in the summary?
I don't recall.
Brown?
He answered it. He said, I don't know. His answer may stand.
Besides your children, the other people that you observed injured, did you immediately receive information what those injuries were at that time?
Can you repeat just to be clear of who you're talking about?
The other people that were with your group, not your children, but other people that were with your group. Do you recall receiving information about their injuries at that time?
I did not receive information about their injuries.
So it would be fair to say you knew that they were hurt, but you didn't know the severity of it.
Exactly.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
And besides your children, who else was with you when you went, attended the parade that evening?
Well, there was 45 of us that were walking together. But to go down to the parade, it was me and my immediate family, so it was me, my children, and my wife.
Do you recall your wife being injured in any way during the incident?
No.
Do you recall where she was when the vehicle passed you?
Yes.
Where was she directly next to you, to the side of you, standing right next to you, or do you remember the general area she was at that moment?
Yeah. I thought I answered it. She was further to kind of as we're marching, as you see in the video, further to the left and then behind.
And she didn't report any injuries of any kind.
She was, I believe she was 6 months pregnant at the time. So she went and got checked up just to make sure she wasn't injured, and no, she wasn't injured at all.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
Real brief. Sir, the identifications that you made in the exhibits that were shown to you on direct examination, are you 100% confident in those identifications?
Objection,
ma'am.
hearsay.
Sorry.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that based on?
My recollection of the incident.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, while you were not with us, the state moved Exhibit 162A, and I did receive it. With that, who do we have on the witness stand?
The state calls Assistant Chief Craig Learman.
All right, sir, would you please stand and raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please be seated. Sir, the first thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Sure. First name Craig, C-R-A-I-G. Last name Learman, L-I-E-R-M-A-N-N.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. I'd like to direct your attention to Sunday, November 21st of 2021. Did you attend the Waukesha Christmas Parade that day?
Yes, I did.
Were you alone or with other people?
I was with my family.
Overruled.
Could you say that again?
I was with my family.
And I see you're wearing a uniform today. What do you do for a living?
I'm Assistant Chief with the Franklin Police Department.
Were you at the parade in your law enforcement capacity?
I was not.
Why were you there?
I was there to attend the parade just to get in the Christmas mood.
Okay. And did you have any family members participating in the parade?
I did not.
Where were you standing or observing the parade?
I was standing on West Main Street, very near the intersection of Maple, just to the west of Maple.
Do you know if you were on the north side or the south side of Main Street?
I was on the south side of Main Street.
Can we please put up for the jury exhibit number 15, which has previously been received and published?
Go ahead. Overruled.
And could we zoom in on the bottom left quadrant here? Do you recognize the area on the map that you're looking at?
Yes.
What does it depict?
It's a map of the parade route, Christmas parade route.
Could you draw a little X for us, if you can find where you were standing with your family?
Objection.
Overruled.
Do you want me to go up and touch the map? Is that
Oh, at the
first, or-
screen in front of you. I'm sorry. The screen in front of you is a touch screen. You can use your finger.
Sure. Okay.
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
I would be right, basically right there, just west of the intersection with Maple by maybe 20 to 50 feet.
Okay. Southwest corner, Maple and Main.
Yes.
We can clear that then, please. Could we now please display for the jury Exhibit 56, which has also been previously received and published?
Go ahead.
This is an exhibit has already been received into evidence. It's obviously a diagram of the intersection we're talking about. Do you recognize this intersection?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
And could you point out for us by, again, drawing a little X where you and your family were standing?
Yes. It would be approximately right here.
Okay. So again, southwest corner of Maple and Main.
Yes.
Do you recall what happened? We can take that down, please. Do you recall what happened at approximately 4:39 p.m. that Sunday afternoon?
Objection.
Overruled.
Yes.
Can you tell us?
Sure. Standing at that location, the parade was coming from my right to my left, so from the east to the west. There was a break in the parade in front of me. To my right was the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies. To my left was a group from the Catholic community of Waukesha, and there was a break in the parade right in front of me, an opening. I heard the crowd become more excited than normal. So I felt like something was coming, but I didn't know what. Didn't know if it was a unusual parade thing or what, but people became more excited, so it kind of grabbed my attention. Then I realized that something wasn't quite right. I could see a vehicle traveling from the east to the west. At first I could only see the top portion of the vehicle from maybe the windshield up, because there was people obviously standing along the route, so they kind of obstructed my view. But I could see that the vehicle was traveling at a much faster rate than any of the other participants, so clearly something was wrong.
Could you describe the vehicle for us?
At first I could only tell that it was probably like an SUV, because of, again, my vision was obstructed by the people that were standing watching the parade. As I got closer, I could see that it was a red Ford Escape SUV.
What happened as the SUV got closer to you?
As it got closer to me, I could hear that the engine was revving very high. The RPMs were much higher than normal, almost like it was maybe in the wrong gear, or there was something mechanically wrong with it. It was revving, like I said, revving much higher than a typical car. It definitely grabbed your attention.
Okay, what happened next?
As I got closer, I could hear something which I didn't know if it was like the engine sputtering, or I didn't really know what it was. Again, kind of unusual. But then as I got closer, you could see that it was, again, traveling at a high rate of speed. I was concerned at that point in time that either there's some sort of mechanical issue with the car possibly, or maybe some parade participant was having a medical emergency, but the vehicle was clearly not under control in relation to everything else that was going on.
How close did the SUV get to you?
As it passed me, it came more towards my side of the street, so it would have been traveling essentially west in what would be the eastbound lanes normally. So when it passed by me, it was very close, probably maybe 10 feet away at most.
Were there parking spaces in front of you where you were standing?
I
Overruled. You may answer.
believe there were, yes.
Do you recall if the vehicle passed through the parking spaces in front of you at all?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
Yes.
Could you describe the lighting conditions at that time? What were the sunlight, street lights, things like that?
It was, if I remember correctly, it was getting to be towards dusk. I don't believe the street lights were on at that point in time, but it was getting darker, but it was still, like I said, I would describe it as maybe dusk, slightly before that.
How good of a look did you get at the driver?
A very good look.
Okay. Can you describe, or can you give us a physical description of what you remember?
I remember the driver being a light-skinned male black, approximately mid to late 30s. Had very facial hair and what I would describe as like dreadlocks, longer hair.
What was the driver doing as he passed you?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
As he was driving by, the window was open. He stuck his head and actually like the upper portion of his body out the driver's window and looked back behind him.
The window you're talking about, which window is that?
It would be the driver's window.
And he actually stuck his head out the window.
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled. He may answer.
Correct, to the point where it crossed my mind he actually may fall out. That's how far out I perceived him to be.
What direction was the driver looking when he stuck his head out the window?
He was looking behind him.
From the direction that he had come from?
Correct.
What happened next?
At that point, when he looked back and then he kind of turned towards the front, based on his body language, my heart kind of sank because I felt like what I thought could be maybe a medical emergency or something like that. To me, it clearly I felt like it was an intentional act, so that obviously upset me a little bit. And then the driver, after he had leaned back, he turned forward, he grabbed the steering wheel, he pulled himself up off the seat and cranked the steering wheel to the right.
So let the record reflect that the witness used both hands at the 10 and 2 position to simulate the driver's hands on the steering wheel.
Objection to that.
Overruled, the record will reflect.
What happened as the driver cranked the steering wheel to the right?
Unfortunately, when he did that, he essentially steered the vehicle across the parade route at a diagonal angle directly through a group of people that were walking with the Catholic community of Waukesha.
Based on your memory of where those people were in the road and the SUV's path of travel, what would have happened if the SUV had simply maintained a straight path instead of veering to the right?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled, he may answer.
I believe that there was a gap between where the Catholic community from Waukesha were standing and the parade spectators. So there should have been an open alleyway if he would have went straight.
What happened next?
Unfortunately, when he drove through that group, he struck many of them, a lot of them kind of bouncing off the hood, and some of them, unfortunately, actually ran over. I could see people come out from underneath the vehicle.
Did you see the vehicle at any point attempt to strike the word attempt? Did you at any point see the vehicle slow down?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled.
No, not at all.
Did you see brake lights?
Nope, none.
Did you hear a horn honking?
Nope, not at all.
I'd like to put up for the witness only, please, exhibit number 133.
Go ahead.
This is a 5-second clip. It's cleared now. We're going to just play it for you once. Let me know if you recognize what you're looking at after you watch it, okay?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Okay.
Do you recognize that clip?
Yes.
What does it depict?
That depicts the red Ford Escape traveling through the closed parade route from the east of Maple through that intersection with Maple on Main Street to the west, very close to where I was standing.
Does that video accurately depict the events as you saw them unfold that day?
Yes, it does.
Move exhibit 133 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled, exhibit 133 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
We could just wait for the bailiff to give me a signal.
There's a delay to the monitors in the jury box.
Okay.
This is your time to cash in at Cache Creek Casino Resort. To rock and to roll over the hills and bluffs. Go all
A shift
out
in Blind
or
Fury's.
go all in. With 4 stars and rising stars, now we do more than ever. So you can do as much or as little.
Could you just tell us which part of the screen does the SUV enter?
Objection, lead the witness.
Overruled.
It enters from the right side of the screen and progresses across to the, essentially, kind of the left side of the screen.
Okay, let's play this once then.
Why was it playing so fast? Is that normal speed?
Mr. Brooks, it's not your time to ask questions. You'll have an opportunity to ask those previously, or when. Go ahead.
Could we put up for the witness only, please, exhibit number 132? So same concept here. I'm just going to play a few seconds for you. You let me know if you recognize the area depicted in the video and what happens as it plays. Let's keep going. Okay. Do you recognize that video?
Yes.
What does it show?
It shows the same red Ford Escape SUV that I've been talking about come in from the right-hand side of the screen across to the left-hand side of the screen, striking at least one person there.
And do you see the vehicle changing position in the road towards the end of that video?
Overruled.
Can I see it again?
Sure.
For the record, how long is this clip?
It is 11 seconds.
Thank you.
From my perspective, the vehicle travels straight through the video from right to left.
Okay. Is this an accurate representation of what you saw that day?
Yes.
Move exhibit 132 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Exhibit 132 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
We'll wait for the bailiff. Okay, we can play. I'd like to go back to the 6-second mark. Set it to 40%, please. And play from there.
Go ahead.
We go back to the 6-second mark.
Objection. What's the relevancy of keep going back?
I presume you have a question for the witness?
I do, yep.
All right, overruled.
Can you, using a little X again, can you draw on the screen the approximate area where you would have been standing at this time?
Sure. It would have been somewhere down in that area.
Okay. So the sidewalk running kind of up the middle of the screen here, that'll run into Maple,
Yes.
and then you would be on the other side of Maple.
Yeah.
Overruled. His answer may stand. Just caution the state about leading questions. Thank you.
Do you know what side of the street this camera is on, north or south?
This
Overruled, yes, if he knew.
this camera would be on the south side of Main Street.
And what direction is the camera facing?
This camera would be facing to the west.
Okay. And can we back up a little bit, maybe to the 3-second mark?
Yes.
Okay, we're at the 3-second mark. Do you see the SUV that you've been talking about in the video right now?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled.
Yes.
Can you please circle it for us? Thank you. We can clear that. Now, paying attention to the tail lights, let's play again at 40% from that spot, 3 seconds. What did you see the taillights of the SUV doing in the last few seconds of that video?
Objection. What's the relevancy?
Overruled. He may answer.
I didn't see the taillights on. As far as like brake lights, I didn't see any brake lights.
But the rear-facing lights were illuminated in some way, correct?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Sustained.
Asked about
Please.
tail lights, not brake lights.
Please rephrase.
Sure. Did you see any lights on the back of the vehicle?
Yes,
Which ones?
taillights.
And what did you see the taillights doing in that portion of the video?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Overruled.
The taillights were on.
But the position of the vehicle, did you see that change?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Overruled.
I did not.
Okay. You testified earlier that you thought there might be some type of mechanical issue. Did you maintain that opinion?
No.
Why not?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled.
Based on the body language that the driver had exhibited as he passed me, there was no panic, there was no distress, like he was trying to stop the vehicle. In fact, he seemed to me like he was excited about what he was doing.
Would you please put up for the witness exhibit number 34, again for the witness only.
Go ahead.
134, excuse me. Yep.
Go ahead. 134.
We're going to play, this is a 16-second clip. We're just going to play the first 7 or 8 seconds for you. That's good. We played 6 seconds. Do you recognize that video?
Do I recognize the vehicle in the video?
Yes.
Yes.
Objection. That wasn't the question, Your Honor.
Overruled. He may answer.
The answer was yes?
Yes.
Okay. This is based on your recollection of the scene that day. This would be where in relation to where you were standing?
That would be west of my location.
What happens to Main Street as you go west of where you were standing?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Overruled.
Approximately a block to the west, the road takes a sharp turn to the left or south.
You testified earlier that the driver's window was down when it passed you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does this video accurately depict how the SUV looked, including that window, at the time you saw it?
Objection. Speculative. No window was open.
Overruled. He may answer. He's testifying about what he recalled, not what someone else thought. Go ahead.
Yes.
I move Exhibit 134 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Objection. Hearsay.
The objection is overruled. Exhibit 134 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Okay, we'll play this once at full speed. The video that we just played, Exhibit 134, that's how you recall seeing the video that day, the vehicle that day?
Yes.
Now, if we could put up for the witness only, Exhibit number 9, please. Do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes.
What is it?
That's the red SUV that I saw in the parade that day. The damage the depicts in the front of the vehicle is consistent with what I saw. The driver's window is open, like I saw, and that's the driver that I saw driving the vehicle that day.
Does Exhibit 9 appear to be a screenshot from the video that we just saw, Exhibit 134?
Yes.
I'd move Exhibit 9 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Objection. Speculative.
Exhibit 9 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Trust your family's comfort to America's most trusted water heater brand. Get an A.O. Smith Signature Series water heater
Does that come up in the jury box yet? No. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can take that down. Thank you. What did you do after the SUV drove out of your field of view?
Checked on my family. They were physically unharmed. So then I went into the road to see how I can help people.
Did you?
Yes.
Who?
Stepped out into the road. I looked to my left, to my right, in each direction. I would estimate probably 12 to 15 people in each direction that were lying in the road in various positions. I just walked up to the first people that I saw to my west, which would have been people that were with the Catholic community of Waukesha.
And did you attempt to render any medical aid to anybody in that group?
Yes.
Can you describe that?
So I happened upon two people. One was an adult male, and then one was a small child, probably 8 to 11. The adult male was conscious, was lying on his side. I believe it was the right side of his head on the ground. He complained that he couldn't move his legs. And then the young girl was unconscious. She was laying on her stomach, face down, with her head tucked essentially down underneath her, like onto her chest, essentially.
The adult male that you described, did he provide you with a first name?
Yes, he did.
What was that?
Jason.
The girl that you mentioned, did you ever learn her name?
I have an idea who it is now. I did not learn it that day, though.
Okay. What happened as you came upon that girl with her head tucked down into her chest?
I believe there was at least one other Good Samaritan that had come down to assist her. She was not, like I said, she was not conscious. She was breathing, but the breaths were more like snoring. I recognized that she was not getting good quality breaths. Could be characterized as agonal breathing, possibly, but she was not breathing normally.
What did you do?
I told the other Good Samaritan that we needed to get her in a better position so she could get adequate breaths, because where she was not. At first, the person was a little reluctant because they didn't want to hurt her more by moving her. But I convinced them that she's not breathing appropriately right now, and we have to move her carefully so that she can have an opportunity to breathe.
So did you?
Yes.
Did you help anybody else with the group that you've identified as the Catholic communities?
Objection answered.
Overruled.
Eventually, there were several people that came and helped the young girl with various levels of medical training. I think one was like a retired military medic, and there was at least one nurse. So they were helping her to the point where I really could not provide any additional aid. So I kind of walked around to see if there's anybody else I could help.
Was there?
Yes, there was many people at that point.
Did you help anybody else?
Yes.
Who?
I actually ran into an officer who was also off duty from Franklin that I recognized. I didn't attend the event with him, but I ran into him. We worked together then to help at least one other person into the back of a sheriff's squad that had come onto the parade route to try to help get people to area hospitals.
What type of vehicle was that?
It was a
There's been an objection. It's not speculative. The witness may answer. Go ahead.
Okay. It was a marked Waukesha County Sheriff's SUV.
What happened next?
By that time, there was a lot of medical equipment that was arriving on scene. I know there was a long board that we tried putting some of the victims on, but the long board wouldn't fit in the back of the SUV because it's a hard seat, and it just wouldn't fit in there. So we ended up using like a makeshift stretcher out of a blanket, and then we carried one of the victims into the back of the sheriff SUV, and then the officer who was with me from Franklin, he actually rode with her in the back, or the female victim, and went to an area hospital.
Do you recall the first name of that female victim?
I believe it was Marisol.
Marisol?
Objection, legal witness.
It's a clarification.
Legal witness.
Overruled.
Yes.
Did you eventually leave the downtown Waukesha area?
Yeah, approximately 5:30 after all the victims that had been lying in the road were taken care of. There was nothing left for me to do at that point.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any questions for this witness, sir?
Yeah.
That's a yes.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Would you happen to be on duty today, right now, if you weren't testifying?
Yes.
And so right now, would it be fair to say that you are on the clock?
Yes.
So on the clock, would it be fair to say that you're getting paid right now?
Yeah, my boys make major moves. Still the same ones that I came with. Up in a payment, told you we nothing to play with. Guess some things unchangeable. Running up, I cannot quit it. I know that I ain't where I wanna be. I can admit it. Never submitting. I'm fighting my thoughts and thoughts.
Yes.
Would that be for your testimony, or just because you would be on the clock otherwise?
These would be my normal work hours right now.
So you're being paid to testify right now as we speak?
Objection.
Grounds.
Asked and answered.
Grounds.
He may answer.
Yes.
Any idea why you would be getting paid to testify?
Because these are my normal work hours. This is when I'm working, and I've been subpoenaed by the state to be here.
So the state's paying you to testify?
The city of Franklin is paying me.
To testify?
These are my normal work hours.
So testifying in open court is part of your duties as an officer?
Yes.
So you've done this more than just this time then, would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And each time you were paid to do so?
Yes.
You made mention to the state of Wisconsin. Is that who you were subpoenaed by?
Yes.
Do you recall by whom?
No.
You were in fact subpoenaed though, would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And you don't recall by whom the subpoena was delivered to you? The name on the subpoena?
No.
So would it be fair to say that upon being subpoenaed, you were in touch with the state of Wisconsin?
Specifically, the Waukesha County DA's office.
Do you recall who those interactions were with?
Not specifically.
So it'd be fair to say you had an interaction with the Waukesha County District's Attorney's Office, but don't recall who you spoke with.
I spoke with a group of people from the DA's office.
Do you remember anyone by name?
One of the people was the gentleman, the DA at the table.
That the record reflect that the witness made a hand gesture towards the prosecution table and identified Attorney Witchow?
Objection.
The record will so reflect.
So you knew that it was a strong possibility that you would be called to testify then, I'm assuming. That'd be fair to say?
Yes.
Did you seek to testify in any way?
I don't understand the question.
Were you actively seeking to testify? Like, did you, on your end, did you reach out and volunteer testimony?
After the incident, I did complete a report of what I saw that day and gave it to the Waukesha Police Department.
So after that report that you submitted, you didn't follow up on what was happening in the matter at that point?
No.
So it'd be fair to say after you gave your report on the incident, you just went back to work and continued your normal duties. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Did you follow much in the aftermath of the matter at that point after you submitted your report?
Not really.
Don't recall seeing any news reports related to the incident?
I may have saw some.
You made reference at one point to, well, let me back up. Was today the first time you ever saw those exhibits, the videos and still frame photo?
No.
So you've seen that before today?
Yes.
You recall how many times?
I believe probably once a piece.
Do you recall who you were shown them by?
The
Same.
table. Yep.
Same attorney?
Yes.
Let the record also reflect that, again, he's made a right hand gesture to the prosecution table and identified Attorney Witchow again.
No objection.
Record will so reflect.
And do you recall around what date that was? Was it recently? Was it some time ago?
It was recently.
And what would you define as recently? A few weeks, a few days, a month?
A few weeks.
And exhibit, I want to say it was 133, or maybe 132. You recall seeing the vehicle that you saw that day going through the parade route. Would that be fair to say?
Could I see the exhibit? I'm not sure which one specifically you're referring to.
Let's try exhibit 132. Then maybe.
The state put that up, please. For the witness only or for everyone?
For everyone.
All right, go ahead.
I don't have it on my screen.
It takes a moment.
Okay,
Should have
good.
it now. Jurors,
Yes.
let me know when you have it in the jury box.
I have it now.
No, I need the jurors to let me know when they get it, since there's more of a delay to the jury box and those monitors. Thank you. It's in the jury box. Go ahead.
made reference when shown this exhibit. You made reference to being positioned around like right in that area. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
If you could play the video from, I don't know, maybe starting at around 5 seconds.
Give me a second, I need to clear the annotation. You don't want to capture them anyway, do you?
Oh, no, not good.
All right.
Can you play it? Did you see the vehicle pass the position where you were standing in that exhibit?
Yes.
You made reference to the driver of the vehicle hanging out of the driver's side window, and I think your words were, you were concerned that the driver may fall out of the vehicle. Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
Is it fair to say from that exhibit video that the driver of that vehicle is not hanging out of the window?
In that portion of the video, he is not hanging out the window.
So what portion, let me back up. In any of the exhibits that you were shown, does any of them depict the driver hanging out of the window on the verge of falling out?
No.
So, what position were you in when you observed what you say as the driver hanging out of the window and you being concerned that possibly they would fall out? Where were you positioned at that time?
I would have been standing on the south side of Main Street, just west of Maple, by a few feet.
Do you know of any reason why the exhibits are not depicting what you say you saw?
That portion of the video only covers from a distance where I was. It would have been the very tail end of that. When it's going to the west, that video is probably from several hundred feet to the east of where I am. So
several hundred feet? How would you estimate that distance?
Just, I know where that video is taken from and where I was standing. That's an estimate of about how far.
And you know that for sure?
It's an estimate.
So it would be fair to say you don't know for sure.
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustain.
Grounds for sustain, Your Honor.
Argumentative. Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase
Would it be fair to say that in the exhibit that was just shown, that from the position that you said that you would have been positioned at, would it be fair to say that the vehicle passed that position pretty quickly?
Yes.
So how were you able to get a look at the driver if it passed your position quickly and we can see lots of people standing in that position?
When the vehicle passed by me, the vehicle at that point in time was a threat to me and my family. So I was very focused on what was going on. Very focused. And it passed directly in front of me, about 10 feet away. So all my attention was directly on that vehicle. That's how I noticed that.
And you saying it passed 10 feet in front of you?
Approximately, yes.
Does this exhibit that was just shown depict what you are saying now? That it passed 10 feet in front of you?
Yes.
So can we pull that back up?
Sure.
Exhibit 132.
It'll be shown to everyone.
Yes.
And if the jurors would let me know when it's on the screens in the jury box, please. Go ahead. You want it played? They have it, yeah, they confirmed. Do you want it played from a certain spot?
I'll get to that. Just so we're clear for the record and for the jury, your position would be somewhere in here as you testified. Would that be fair to say?
We're fighting
for people who cannot fight for themselves and shouldn't have to.
Public schools covered up the rape of a 14-year-old.
Correct. But
Can we put an X down?
Hold on, let him finish. You interrupted him.
Okay.
given the angle of this, it's very hard for me to show precisely where I am. It's if I can draw an X, I'm trying to draw it as far.
Use your finger.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Like as far down here as possible. It's not right. It's not like any of these people here. It's actually, because this is still, all this video here is still on the east side of Maple. I am on the west side of Maple. So when I put an X here, I am essentially, I'm going to call it way down there, several hundred feet. I'm not any of these people pictured. Does that make sense?
No, it actually doesn't, but I was referring, so I probably had it a little coming this way, so by what you're saying, you would have been approximately in this area. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Object to the annotation. The witness drew twice now where he was, and I think adequately explained it.
Grounds.
I'm going to sustain the objection and direct Mr. Brooks to have the witness put where the area that he was in.
Okay.
So we'll clear the annotation and go ahead. If you could do that, sir.
Again, it would be.
Now, did you mean to put that arrow?
I did not mean to put that arrow there.
Let's clear it again. We'll have you do it. I know it's a touchy screen, so do it again.
So you and your family were approximately in the area of where you drew the X. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Would it also be fair to say that there are quite a few people in that area?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you can see, I guess it would be some type of lights from the vehicle that passed? Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And you estimate that where you can see those lights and where you would have positioned that is 10 feet.
Can you repeat the question?
Would you say that where you can see those lights at, that you just said that you can see, and the position that you drew yourself to be positioned in, you would estimate that that's 10 feet?
Yes.
I'll object and move to strike. I think this is a misleading question. We're at the beginning of the video. Those taillights are not the vehicle in question.
Where did the taillights come from then?
A different vehicle.
So would it be fair to say that?
Hold on. There's been an objection. I believe the question mischaracterized the evidence. So strike the question, strike his response. Please rephrase. If you want to watch the video again to establish what you're asking, that would be fine.
Before I play, do you recall there being any other vehicles positioned by where you were standing at with your family?
Hold on. Are you talking about at the time that we're seeing this? Or
At the time that we're looking at right now, do you recall any other vehicles being present, positioned where you were standing with your family?
I believe there was a vehicle to my left, which would have been immediately to my left was the group that was walking with the Catholic community of Waukesha, and just to the west of them was some sort of vehicle that was participating in the parade.
So it would have been a little bit further west.
Yes.
From your recollection, would you say that was the vehicle that you said would have been positioned a little further west?
Sir, do you mean the vehicle in the photo?
Yes, the vehicle that.
Thank you.
The vehicle in the exhibit. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just want to make sure we all understand.
Okay.
It's possible that's the vehicle.
But you don't know for sure?
No.
Can you play a little bit of it? I'll tell you when to pause. Can we bring the X off?
We can. And we will. Go ahead and play.
Pause. Would it be fair to say that it looks like the vehicle that's traveling with direction, would that be west?
Which vehicle are you referring to?
The vehicle that just drove through the middle of the screen.
Yes.
For
Would
the
it be
record,
fair?
hold on. For the record, the video was paused at 4 seconds. Go ahead.
Does the vehicle appear to be in the middle of the street? Would that be fair to say?
At that point, yes.
And would you estimate the middle of the street to be 10 feet from where you were positioned at the time?
No, I would be a little further than that.
In times like these, we learn what matters most. We celebrate our wins.
And with all the people in that general vicinity, would that in any way be hard for you to focus on if you could actually see who was driving the vehicle?
No, when I gave the description, the vehicle was right in front of me and there was nobody in my way.
Do you see yourself? Did your position move closer to the vehicle, as we can see that it's in the middle of the street and you just testified to that? Did you move closer to the vehicle or did you move back from the vehicle? What did you do at that point when you noticed that the vehicle was approaching your position?
It happened very quickly. I don't know that I moved in any direction when the vehicle came by.
So to your recollection, you pretty much stayed where you were at?
Yes, it happened very quickly.
So it'd be fair to say that it was, well, let me back up. What will you define as very quickly? Few seconds?
Yes.
And in a few seconds, you were able to see the driver of the vehicle hanging out of the window and almost falling and doing all that in just a few seconds?
Yes.
And you also made mention to the driver of the vehicle looking behind them. Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
So, in your recollection, you witnessed the driver hanging out of the driver's side window, being concerned that they would possibly fall out of the vehicle, and looking back and continuing to drive in a straight line, all in a few seconds.
Can you repeat that question?
You were able to see, because you testified that everything happening very quickly, and then you defined that as being a few seconds. Would that be fair to say that that's what you just testified to?
Yes.
So what I'm asking is, in those few seconds, you were able to see, from your recollection, you were able to see the driver of the vehicle hanging out of the vehicle, you being concerned that the driver would possibly fall from the vehicle. Notice that the driver was looking back and continuing to drive in a straight line. You witnessed all this in a few seconds.
I would not say continue to drive in a straight line. All the rest of that, yes.
You witnessed all that in a few seconds.
Yes.
Are we done with the video?
Oh yeah, we done with the video. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Just so we're clear for the record, the exhibit that we just watched, the driver of the said vehicle is not hanging out of the window. Would that be fair to say?
Correct.
You made reference to the make and model of the vehicle. How were you able to determine that in just a few seconds?
Given my job, I know different makes and models of vehicles, so I'm positive on the make and model.
So would you know the make and model of pretty much any vehicle that would pass you on a street?
Most, yes.
Most, but not all.
Some of the newer vehicles look very similar. Some might be a little difficult, but I'm very confident in that vehicle description.
You were able to determine that in a few seconds?
Yes.
You made mention to some mechanical problems. You believe that there may have been some mechanical problems. How were you able to come to that determination?
That was my initial concern because of the noise that the engine was making. It wasn't a normal engine noise. The RPMs were revving much higher than normal.
Can you explain to the jury what do you mean by that, the RPMs? How that has any bearing on the engine?
It sounds very, very high-pitched. This is very different than a normal vehicle driving down the road. Very, very high-pitched. It would get your attention.
And so, upon hearing that, from your recollection, you thought because of that sound that there had to be some mechanical problems going on with the engine.
I thought that there could be.
But it was your first initial thought, correct?
Correct.
And you were able to hear that sound and come to a conclusion that possibly there were mechanical issues all in a few seconds.
A lot runs through your mind at that point in time, yes.
And would it be fair to say, because depicting from the exhibit, that there were quite a few people in that general area, you were able to hear this engine over all the noise and chaos that was going on at that time?
Yes, absolutely.
And you can hear the engine clear over all those people?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that there were hundreds, even thousands of people present at the parade that day?
Hundreds for sure in my area, sure.
In your general area, hundreds?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that hundreds of people can get pretty loud?
Yes.
You stated that, I can't remember what side of the road you said it would be, but you made reference to an open alleyway. Do you recall saying that?
No.
Do you recall if you were positioned by any cross streets?
Yes, there was an intersection just to my right with Maple Avenue.
Do you recall if it was barricaded at the time?
I believe it was, but I couldn't say for sure.
Do you recall if any law enforcement was stationed at that barricade?
I don't recall.
So it would be fair to say you don't recall if there could have been an exit out of the parade route at that time?
I don't recall.
In any of the exhibits that you were shown, and not the still frames, but the videos, 132, 133, and I think it was 134. Did you see yourself in any of those videos?
I did not.
Did you see your family members in any one of those videos?
I did not.
To back up really quick to the mechanical issue again, you made mention to sounding like the engine was sputtering. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Can you define to the jury what you mean by sputtering?
I heard noises that sounded like almost like a popping, which at the time I didn't know what was. I thought it was possibly mechanical related. In retrospect, it may have been impacts of the vehicle hitting things. I don't know. I don't know which it was.
It would be fair to say that, based on what you testified to earlier about the RPMs and you knowing that would have something to do with the engine being louder, high pitched, I think it was what you said. It would be fair. Do you think it would be fair to say that if that is pursuant to the actual engine, how could that have anything to do with something being struck if that's engine, that's inside of the vehicle?
If you're in the business of closing deals, Deal Hub is just what your team needs. It's a platform that connects every stage of the sales process. Before Deal Hub, we did things the old way, which frustrated salespeople, it confused customers, and it made it harder to hit quota. Now, everything is different. We can send price quotes in just a few minutes, which literally used to take hours, if not days. Deal Hub's playbook guides our reps through the entire sales process so they can make smart selling decisions. We finally have a single place to share sales proposals, collect bills.
Can you repeat the question? I'm not sure what the specific question was.
The mechanical issues that you are describing was pretty much geared towards engine trouble. Would that be fair to say? A sputtering engine,
It was very high pitched, so it could be a mechanical thing, or it could be the engine or the transmission being like in the wrong gear, so that it's sounding much higher.
From your line of work, obviously you've been doing it for a very long time. Engine or transmission, possibly the vehicle being in the wrong gear, as you just said, could that at any time cause someone who's driving the vehicle to lose control of the vehicle?
I guess it could.
Do you know for sure, or is that just a guess?
That's just a guess.
So you don't know for sure if that would cause, if the driver may have been stuck in the wrong gear, you're not sure if that would have caused them maybe to lose control of the vehicle at that point in time?
It could. I don't know.
From the, well, let me back up. From your recollection, do you recall there being any tints to the vehicle, like tinted windows or anything?
I don't recall.
Can we pull up Exhibit 9?
Go ahead.
Can we, how do you show it to everybody? Do you say publish?
It's on.
I'm sorry.
Published, yes. It is. Jury will let me know when it's in the jury box, please.
Would it be fair to say from this still shot depiction that there are in fact tinted windows of the vehicle that you identified?
It does appear that the windows in the back are tinted.
So you don't see any tinted windows on the side too?
Yes. When I mean back, I mean driver's door back.
I apologize. I didn't know what you meant by that.
Okay.
Back driver's side window and the immediate window after that as well. Would it be fair to say that from this picture, there are two tinted windows that you can visibly see? Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
You can take that down. In that Exhibit 9 steel frame, it would be also fair to say that the driver is not hanging out of the window at that point?
That is fair to say. That is correct.
To your recollection, do you know who may have took any of those videos, not the steel frames, but the videos that were shown?
No.
Were you injured in any way during the incident?
No.
Any of your family?
No.
Do you know if anyone filed a claim in this incident?
I don't understand the question.
Filed a claim like seeking to be an injured party.
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Working in law enforcement, have you at any point seen the complaint in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer if he's able.
A complaint regarding this case?
Yes.
No.
Do you know if there's a plaintiff in this case?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Plaintiff in the case?
I sustain the objection.
Thank you.
You don't have to answer.
All right.
Do you even know if there's a plaintiff in this matter?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Being in law enforcement for as long as you have, are you aware that there has to be an injured party to bring a claim?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Sustained. Also misstates the law.
In any of your investigations during your career, were you ever made aware at any time that the state of Wisconsin can be a plaintiff in a matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Sustained.
And from your recollection, do you recall seeing any other occupants in the vehicle at the time?
I don't remember seeing anyone in the vehicle other than the driver.
Were you able to get a look inside of the vehicle?
I could only see the driver. I couldn't tell you whether there was anyone else in the vehicle or not.
So it would be fair to say that you're not sure.
That would be fair.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Yes, please. Thank you, Your Honor. If we could bring 132 back up for the jury, and while we're waiting for their screens to come up, I do have some separate questions.
Go ahead.
You testified that you're getting paid today as you sit there, correct?
That is correct.
By the city of Franklin?
Yes.
Okay. State of Wisconsin's not cutting that check.
The objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. You may answer.
Correct. It's just the city of Franklin that's paying, no one else.
Do you get paid more money if there's a guilty verdict?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. It's not hearsay. You may answer.
No.
Direct your attention to Exhibit 132 on the screen. If we could jump ahead to maybe 3 seconds and slow it down to about 40%. One last time, I'd like you to draw an X to depict where you and your family were standing, approximately.
Objection answered numerous times already at this point.
I'd like to preserve this as an exhibit.
Go
since
ahead.
He's done it so many times. Can we save that as Exhibit 132A and I'd move that into evidence?
Objection, relevancy. It's been answered numerous times.
Exhibit 132 is received.
132A. I believe.
Sorry, 132A.
Thank you.
Objection.
Overruled.
We can see the red SUV in the roadway on Main Street in this portion of the video. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. At this point in the video, can you see the driver leaning his head or body out of the driver's window?
No.
Let's go frame by frame, please. And pause there. We've paused it at about 4 seconds. This is the approximate location on cross-examination where you were asked about your position and whether or not you were 10 feet from the vehicle. Do you remember that line of questioning?
Yes.
When the vehicle was 10 feet away from you, is this where it was on Main Street?
Objection.
Overruled. You may answer.
Speculative. It's clearly not 10 feet.
It would.
The jury will disregard the comment made by Mr. Brooks. It's not testimony. The witness may answer.
I don't consent to being called that name. Objection to that, for the record.
Could you repeat the question one more time, please?
When the vehicle was 10 feet away from you, is this, as it's depicted right now in the video, is this where the vehicle was at that time?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Grounds for the overrule, Your Honor.
He may answer.
The vehicle at this point would still be east of my location.
Okay. So it hasn't, at this point in the video, it hasn't reached you and your family yet.
That is correct.
Let's go frame by frame, a few more frames, please. And we'll pause there.
Just for the record, it was not paused when you asked it to, so go ahead and get back to the spot.
Okay, we're going to resume that. Just
It should be at 4.
So looks like the video is at 4 seconds.
Yep, we'll play from there.
And if you could just indicate, hold on, what speed you're at.
We're going frame by frame at this point.
Thank you.
Okay, we've paused at 5 seconds. Is the vehicle now closer to the approximate location where it was near you and your family?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
You described this video camera as being several hundred feet away from your location, is that right?
Approximately.
In your opinion, if the driver's body were hanging out the window at this point in the video, could we see it on the video?
In my opinion, no.
Okay. There was a question on cross-examination about your use of the phrase open alleyway. So just to clarify, what, if anything, was between the group of the Catholic group and the south curb of Main Street as the SUV drove through that area?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
I would believe that there was nothing in that space. It would be an open space.
And you testified that you saw the SUV veer from left to right. Is that correct?
Objection. Expected to.
Overruled. You may answer.
That is correct.
So I want to make sure that we're at about 40% speed here. This is still Exhibit 132. We're going to play from where we stopped, which is 5 seconds. In that last portion of the video, did you see the vehicle veer from left to right?
Yes.
Okay. In your description of a mechanical problem, you talked about the engine revving in what sounded like a high gear. Is that right?
Yes.
And almost as though it were stuck in the wrong gear.
Yes.
You're not a mechanic, are you?
No.
You testified that you thought it might be possible if a vehicle was stuck in the wrong gear that the driver could lose control. You remember saying that on cross-examination?
Yes.
Based on your limited knowledge of how vehicles work, if a vehicle is stuck in the wrong gear, do you know if the brakes still work?
Based on my knowledge, I would say yes. They should still work.
Your initial opinion that there may have been a mechanical problem, that changed at some point, didn't it?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled.
Yes.
Why did that opinion change?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. He may answer.
It changed when I saw the driver and his body language.
What was that body language? What did you see?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
I would describe them as being in an excited state, not in a state of panic. More, again, excited or almost happy about what was going on.